Could self-publishing your book be a shortcut to get a big traditional publishing deal? Could you be the next Andy Weir with The Martian or Olive E. Blake with the Atlas Six? Or for nonfiction, could you be the next Robert Kiyosaki with Rich Dad, Poor Dad? Well, today we're going to take a closer look at when self-publishing makes sense and when it could end up hurting you. Welcome to Forward Writing, where we talk about how to move your writing forward. I'm Jonathan Jordan, an award-winning ghostwriter, book coach, and developmental editor. And since 2018, I've been helping authors position their books for success, whether they were CEOs of billion-dollar companies or aspiring fiction authors who are trying to get a publishing deal. And today, the question we're going to be tackling is, could self-publishing your book be a shortcut to traditional publishing? This is something I see a lot of people talking about these days, especially every time there's a headline about a publisher offering a deal to an author who started out in the self-publishing world. And it gets a lot of people excited because they see their name being next in the headline. And I love the optimism of that. However, ultimately, I believe the answer to this question is no. Self-publishing is not a shortcut to getting a big traditional publishing deal. So to see why I have that stance, we're going to zoom in a little bit on self-publishing and what it can actually do for you and the mindset that you should have around it. So first off, self-publishing is a totally viable alternative to traditional publishing. It has come a long, long way. Yes, there's a lot of slop that also gets put out into the self-publishing space, but I could say the same for traditional publishing. There's lots of books that I see end up on bookstore shelves that I personally would never buy. Obviously, someone will, or it wouldn't be there. But the traditional route does not inherently mean that the book itself is quality. So we have to start to divorce those ideas in our head that self-publishing means it's bad and traditional publishing means that it's good. Plenty of people have chosen to be self-published indie authors so that they can have full control over their rights, so that they can have full control over the process of publishing. And some of them, even if they have been offered a deal by traditional publishing, they choose to stay with self-pub because they love that element of control to it. And also, self-publishing has been around for a long, long time, long before Amazon came into the picture. I mean, even some of the greats like Mark Twain or Beatrix Potter or even Margaret Atwood, she self-published her poetry book back in the 70s before she ended up writing A Handmaid's Tale. So yes, it's absolutely a viable route that many authors choose to take because they want that level of control and ownership of their book. So here is the reason I say we should not think about self-publishing as a shortcut. Ultimately, you're still going to need to sell your book. And if we look closer at the books that I mentioned at the beginning of this episode, The Martian, The Atlas Six, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, if you really study those books, what you will find is that those books did really well because their authors consistently marketed the heck out of those books through the avenues that were available to them. Eventually, word of mouth took over, and then traditional publishers came knocking at their doors. But you'd be wrong to think that these authors just released their books on Amazon and waited for the algorithm to shine a spotlight on them, because that just doesn't happen. Publishers are businesses. They make money from selling books. So if a book is already selling, and it looks like there is still enough room in the market for it to sell even more, then they will want to get their piece of the pie. And so that's why you're seeing some of the headlines that you see is traditional publishers are paying attention to the sales numbers in the self-pub world. And they're looking at what is already selling, what is already doing well, because then they know if that author has already developed a fan base and already has the marketing machinery in place, then all they have to do is offer a deal and they can republish that book that's doing well, or they can publish the next one in the series so that they get to have a piece of that for themselves. And then the author gets more visibility, more credibility if they want it. But again, some authors choose never to go that route and they just like to maintain the control. So to go back to the issue about quality for a second, I think some aspiring authors fall into this mental trap where they believe if my book is just good enough, if it has strong enough reviews, then it will also get the traditional publishing deal regardless of the sales numbers. If I can just show that my book is good enough. The problem is that you can have a book with a really great rating, but if the sales numbers are still in the low thousands or below that, then publishers really are not going to take a second glance. The strong reviews by themselves don't sell the books. They should be part of your marketing strategy to get people buying more books, but you can't think that the quality alone is going to do the trick. This is a case where you do need quality, but you also need quantity. I've actually seen a similar misunderstanding play out in the screenwriting world since I also do some screenwriting. And so I've seen people post on a platform that I'm a part of, they'll say, hey, I'm in the process of adapting my screenplay into a book and I'm going to self-publish it. And the reason they give for self-publishing is they say, well, I found out that Hollywood loves IP, intellectual property. They keep taking these books and adapting them into movies. So since nobody's buying my script, I'm going to turn it into a book and then maybe some big studio will buy my book so that then we can finally make the movie. Okay, so they're trying to take this kind of weird backdoor approach to getting their story noticed. And the problem there is they mistakenly believe that if they turn their screenplay into a self-published book, then Hollywood's just automatically going to come knocking at their door because they'll just buy any book. But that's not true at all. Hollywood only wants to adapt a book into a film or into a miniseries if they see that that book is selling really, really well. Then they know that there's an audience out there who might want to see a version of the story on a screen. And so when you look at even many New York Times bestsellers, a lot of them never become movies. Their film rights might be optioned, but they might never get made if the studio decides there's just not a big enough audience for them to devote to it, or they run into artistic problems with the adaptation. So coming back to the book world for a second, instead of seeing self-publishing as some kind of shortcut, what you need to do is see it for what it is and the real value it provides. An avenue for you to have full control over your book and to get it out into the world where it can be read. These authors who have found success in self-publishing, their primary goal was creating a book for readers, a great book that readers would love and consume. They had that mindset and focus the entire time. It didn't matter to them which route it got into the world. All that mattered to them was they wanted to be read. And then the traditional thing came along later. It was the cherry on top, but it was never the main reason that they chose self-publishing. So what you need to also recognize is that if you self-publish your book and it does not sell well, you could be hurting your chances at a traditional deal later on down the road, even with the next book that you write. If you have ever gone through a querying process, you'll know that many agents, when you fill out their form, they ask if you've published a book before, and they want to know how well it sold. So if your sales numbers aren't great, it's not necessarily a nail in the coffin, but it is a red flag for that agent. They might be wondering why they should take the risk on you if you didn't do so well the first time around. To give your book the best chance of success, regardless of whether you end up self-publishing or going the traditional route, what you need to do is start marketing your book before it ever even comes out. One of the ways you do that is by being a good literary citizen. Go and engage with other authors online, especially in your own genre. Start posting regularly about your process and what you're learning about publishing. Share that with the world. Be relatable with other people. That way, you're not just posting, buy my book, buy my book, buy my book, and no one's ever heard about you. Most authors start the marketing process way too late. So you have a chance right now to totally change that for yourself and start marketing it early on. Now, let's be real, building a following is hard. I have struggled with that myself. The only place where I have a semi-decent following so far is over on LinkedIn because I work so much in the nonfiction space and I work with a lot of business authors. But that's why I'm doing things even like this YouTube channel now. That's why I'm posting more, is to share everything that I've learned and share it with the people who need to hear it the most. And so you have the opportunity to do the same thing. You have an opportunity to go ahead and start reaching readers now before your book ever comes out. Because if you can show a future agent that you're trying and that you've already started the marketing process, then they know that you're serious about your own growth. And they're going to have a lot more confidence in you, even if you had a self-published title before that didn't do so well. And that might be how you position it. You might say, look, I self-published a book 3 years ago. It only sold 100 copies. It only sold 12 copies, however many it sold, because I didn't know what I was doing with marketing. Ever since then, I've been learning everything I can about book marketing so that the next book will be a success. So that's one way you can turn a sad story into a story of growth and show that you are serious. Because almost no agent wants to represent an author who says, you know what, I just want to write. Someone else should promote my book for me. Isn't that your job, agent? No, they are supposed to help sell your book to publishers, but both agents and publishers, they need to see that you're going to be the biggest evangelist for your own book. So, what do you do next if you were caught in this trap where you don't know if you should do self-publishing, if you don't know if you should do traditional publishing, if you don't have the slightest clue on how to start building a following and start positioning your book for success? Here's what you do. Go sign up for forward.io. That's forword.io. It is a web-based app, so you don't need to be doing anything on your phone. You're going to be doing it on the desktop. It'll work on your browser on your phone, but it does work a little bit better on the desktop. And you're going to sign up there so that you can get a free custom 30-day marketing plan built for you and your genre and your goals for your book. And it's okay if you haven't decided yet whether you want to do the self-pub thing or whether you want to make a try for traditional publishing. It's going to give you specific tasks to follow so that you can start positioning your book for success long before it even exists. And guess what? If you've already published a book, and you say, well, what do I do? I've already got it out in the world. I tried posting about it. I got burned out. All the advice I read was contradictory. That's okay. Forward.io can also help you get over that overwhelm and focus in on the tasks that really matter for you and your goals. So self-publishing, it is not a shortcut to traditional publishing, but it is a viable path to be a successful author. And yeah, if you do well enough as a self-published author, then again, there's no shortcut, but you will have put in the necessary work to get the attention of a traditional publisher if you are selling lots and lots of books. So best of luck out there, whichever route you choose. I'd love to hear from you what resonated, what other questions you have about self-publishing versus traditional publishing, or if you have any questions about forward.io. If you're not subscribed to the channel yet, make sure you hit the button there so that you can get more insights on writing, publishing, and book marketing. And until next time, keep moving your writing forward.